Hello everyone, welcome back to Football Manager and a new kind of tactic experiment video. Now the idea behind this video is that essentially we're going to test three of the most popular tactics on the Steam workshop. That's usually the best place to find tactics. I do not profess to be a tactic expert, and one of the reasons I wanted to do this video is to have an almost objective view of which of these tactics you should use and which one you should take forward for your seasons, especially if you're struggling to get your own tactic right. Now, the club that I've chosen to do this with is Arsenal because they're A, English, B, in with a chance of winning the Premier League title, and C, have a very comprehensive squad coverage for every position that you could want and most roles that you could want. So quite often it's difficult to find a tactic that suits the players that you've got, but I'm a firm believer that the tactic comes first and you should buy the players that fit the system, not the other way around. So the three tactics that we're going to take a look at are Skulls Can't Tackle, which is by a guy called The Reckonist, I think is his name. You can find all of these on the Steam Workshop, so make sure you go and check that out. The other one is Goal Machine. The Goal Machine one is by somebody called Dark XS, I think is how he wants his name pronounced. And the final one we'll look at is Gamebreaker by The Reckonist as well. So there's two by The Reckonist. He's apparently very good at tactics, and one by Dark XS. And the way that we'll do this is that we'll start the season off by having a look at the tactic in a little bit of detail, and then we will kick on and have a look at how it pans out by the end of the season. So there'll be three little tactics to take a look at. We'll see which one is most successful, and then you'll be able to pick which one you want to use based on how the team performs, if you think it's worthwhile, if it suits your system. So the first one that I think we're going to take a look at, if we go to the tactics screen, is the 4-3-1-2 Gamebreaker by The Reckonist. So this tactic is a 4-3-1-2 formation. You've got two fullbacks, one attacking, one supporting, a central defender and a ball-playing defender in the middle, both on defensive duties, and a sweeper keeper. I think he's a big fan of the sweeper keeper. I've seen it a few times now. You also have two ball-winning midfielders and a deep-line playmaker, so everybody's sitting quite deep in this game. They're looking to control it with a fluid sort of shape. So it seems like it's a possession-based game, and then you've got three almost isolated players up top: an advanced playmaker, a target man who I suppose the deep line playmaker will be looking for, and then a poacher to try and get those finishes. In terms of the team instructions, it does look like it's an all sort of defensive line playing at a low tempo, very narrow down the pitch. Obviously there's no wingers out there, looking to have a high press, it seems, and exploit the middle. Definitely no point clearing to the flanks of this. No point having the early crosses or the overlap. It's all about working the ball into the box, getting it forward. There's a short passing though, which is interesting. I would have thought they'd go a bit more direct, but this is a short pass, being quite disciplined. So this is actually a really interesting tactic. I'm quite interested to see how this pans out. Let me know your thoughts on this tactic. I don't normally like playing without wingers. I love having a winger and one forward. Sometimes I'll have an advanced playmaker, but it's very rare that I'll do that. So let me know your thoughts on this. It's very rare you see people playing with two up top in this game, especially that's almost a three up top kind of situation. But let's skip to the end of the season, see how Arsenal get on playing this formation, and I'll check back in with you then. So we are now at the end of the season with the Gamebreaker tactic. You can see it's the only one loaded. The team's at maximum familiarity in every position because they had no other tactics loaded. We've holidayed to the end of the year, so I've not been involved in the management of these matches, but you can already see they started absolutely phenomenally. Just the one defeat at home to Sunderland. But otherwise, they won pretty much every match. They drew their first game, went on an incredible winning streak, beating Chelsea, Everton, Juve, Liverpool. Then they had the defeat and a draw, and then they beat Spurs twice, home and away, and Monaco, Man City, lost to Juve, continued big wins against the likes of Man City. Manchester United getting beaten, Man City getting beaten Chelsea. This is a pretty phenomenal run. A little blip where they lost two in a row here to Liverpool and United, both away from home though, and then they won a bunch of more games. Sunderland, their bogey team quite clearly, beat Real Madrid on aggregate in the Champions League, still in the FA Cup, went through in the quarterfinals of the Champions League, still winning in the Premier League, into the final of the FA Cup, where they lost to Newcastle of all teams, but they won the Champions League. That is absolutely phenomenal. They just missed out on the Premier League by 3 points, but that is absolutely incredible. They managed to win the Champions League. Finishing on 83 points is not bad. It's just shy of that 85-point mark I'm always talking about for winning the title. And it was a very competitive season. Tottenham in that title race right to the end as well. Had a much better goal difference than Manchester United, 8 goals better. Reaching the cup final as well. Very impressive. I'm very impressed by this tactic. I think if you ever load up a team, or if I ever load up a team that has this sort of situation where maybe you're lacking wingers, this looks like a very good tactic to go on. Obviously, you don't need a defensive midfielder either. Most teams do have an advanced playmaker or somebody who can play in that number 10 role. So this looks like one heck of a tactic. The squad, in terms of players who played the most, Urza was obviously always going to be playing a lot. Koscielny, just looking sort of lower down the list, it looks like it's a bit of rotation. Theo Walcott not really playing much. I would have expected Lucas to play a lot more with 2 up top, but apparently not. Olivier Giroud and Danny Welbeck must have been the players starting off up there, but even Welbeck didn't play quite that much. Iwobi didn't really get any game time, nor did Oxlade-Chamberlain, who obviously would have really suffered without a winger on there. It looks like some of the other players probably left. Alexis Sanchez must have been playing up front because he's got 20 goals and 15 assists. So that seemed to work quite well for Arsenal overall. But let's jump on to the next tactic, see if it can do better than winning the Champions League. So this tactic is the 4-3-3 goal machine from Dark XS. It's a very simple one, again a good one if you're lacking wingers, but a lot of teams do have sort of 5 or 6 good strikers, and if you're a team like that, this looks like a very helpful formation for you to use. Playing with wing backs on attack obviously fills a gap in midfield and sort of allows you to almost play with that 5. It's a bit like the Chelsea style of football, although some people might correct me on that. 2 central defenders playing on defend with another sweeper keeper. It seems like a popular choice in this game. Then you've got one advanced playmaker and a defensive line playmaker or deep line playmaker with a ball-winning midfielder in the middle. So you're almost playing with a defensive midfielder in there, but he's in a support role. The entire midfield in support roles, as are 2 deep-lying forwards. It's crazy to see 3 deep-lying forwards playing in the same tactic. I've never seen anything like that before. There's 14 instructions on this. By the way, if you do want to copy these and don't want to have to go and look and download them, you can just pause this video at any point to stop. That's why I am showing you these instructions, but this is incredible. They're playing with a much higher tempo, still playing very narrow, looking to cut down that goalkeeper distribution. A normal defensive line, they're not pushing too high up, but they are looking to retain possession. This is about dominating a game. They're still looking for an overlap despite not really having any wingers. I suppose their fullbacks must be pushing really high up the pitch, but otherwise they're looking to play through the middle with the wingers as a sort of an outside overlay. They're still looking to pass the ball into the box. That's why they've got shorter passing and retaining possession. So this is a sort of passing tactic that's focused through the middle, but with wing backs creating a bit of space for the midfield to operate. 3 deep line forwards playing together. I'm not sure how that works because they're all going to be going in, even if you've got 2 on support. They're all going to be in each other's way, I'd imagine, but apparently not. So I'm very interested to see how this one does because it's quite an interesting tactic. I'm not sure when I'd ever use this because I don't like having too many strikers. I like having one main striker and a couple of support ones if we need them. I think this kind of tactic needs almost 7, maybe even 8 strikers to make workable because the slightest injury crisis could throw you out. And trying to find 8 deep line forwards is quite difficult. I'm not sure how this will work with Arsenal either because they aren't exactly blessed with brilliant strikers. But let's skip to the end of the season and see how they go on. Well, they'd not started quite as well as the last tactic. Getting thrashed 6-1 by Barcelona in the Champions League is not a good way to go. And then drawing with Celtic and losing to PSV, that is a really bad start to the Champions League campaign for Arsenal. The league form, though, pretty exceptional, winning every single match that I can see in the league on this screen. They picked up their Champions League form, but I think that defeat at Barcelona will have knocked them out at the group stage. Otherwise, continuing through the EFL Cup, their league form pretty exceptional. A couple of draws popping up, but no defeats until the match against Stoke. Definitely a bit more of a difficult start to the game, but I think not going through. Oh, they did go through in the Champions League. I'm not sure how they swung that. And that league form has definitely picked up. Look at that. Absolutely exceptional. What a finish to the season. They made it all the way to the Champions League final again, losing on penalties to Barcelona this time. But they won the FA Cup and won the EFL Cup. If we have a look at the league, they won the league as well. So they managed to do the treble, just missing out on the quadruple in the Champions League final. That's pretty exceptional, given they lost it on penalties as well. Had they won that on penalties, this would undisputedly be the best tactic. And look at that goal difference. 66 plus goal difference is just phenomenal. Let's have a look at the squad and see who got all the goals in that. 45 goals for Olivier Giroud, 31 for Alexis Sanchez, 24 for Lucas, who I've never seen do well in this game. Theo Walcott getting 16, Santi Cazorla getting 10. He must have been chucked up front quite a few times. 18 assists for Hector Bellerin playing in the winger role. 17 for Nacho Monreal. That's where those assists come in. This is pretty exceptional stats, I have to say. In terms of players not really getting in the team, Per Mertesacker, Oxlade-Chamberlain's still struggling because there's no winger. All the other wingers can kind of play up front, which is their benefit. Even Alex Iwobi was turned into a striker in this save. Granit Xhaka not playing so much. I'm a bit blown away by this tactic. This is phenomenal. I'm not, like I said before, I'm not really sure when I would use this because I can't think of many situations where I like to have this many strikers in a team. But I can't believe how well they've done. That's just a penalty shootout away from doing the quadruple with Arsenal in your first season. Is absolutely mind-boggling. They were 10 points clear in the title race as well. So if you're in a situation where your club's got a lot of strikers and a lot of centre midfielders, this is definitely the tactic for you. The final tactic we're going to take a look at is the Skulls Can't Tackle tactic. This is a version that I use in my Newcastle save. If you saw my old tactics video, it will look very similar to this one. I did change the tactic a little bit so it better suited my squad and my style of football. I really don't like playing with complete wing backs. So quite a few of these positions were changed in my team. But this is what the base tactic looks like if you're looking to copy it. I always recommend you can tinker with these tactics so much, but too much will destroy them. So don't try changing too many of the player roles. They need to be things that balance out quite well. So changing your complete wing backs to full backs, I find works reasonably well. But other things will start to mess with the cohesion of the team. So this tactic works with a false nine. I changed this to a complete forward in my tactics. I find false nines basically impossible to get in this game. But the idea is that your false nine drops back, your inside forward cuts in, and your winger continues to add width to the team while your complete wing backs bomb up down the sides. You've got two advanced playmakers in the middle creating the chances for the three up top. Defensive midfielder acts as almost a filling in the hole for a flat back three when your wingers are bombing down the line. So it's quite a versatile tactic. You need to have the right kind of players to pull this tactic off unless you're willing to change the player roles and experiment with it a bit. In terms of the team instructions, it's all about the Guardiola style football. It's high pressing, high tempo, lots of width, passing the ball around quite a bit, short passing, getting stuck in, being quite expressive, playing out the defence, all that kind of stuff you'd come to expect from Pep Guardiola or one of his teams. I really like this tactic. I think it's the best sort of tactic for getting wingers involved, and I'm a huge fan of wingers in this game, especially inside forwards. I like playing with a complete forward up top, but I think that's completely up to you as to how you want to do it. The lack of an advanced playmaker is a number 10 advanced playmaker, I should say. This little gap in the pitch. That does sometimes hurt a lot of teams if you've got a star player such as Mesut Ozil. So what we'll do is we'll skip to the end of this season. We'll see how the players play and if they can win as many trophies as the last tactic did. Well, here we are at the end of the season. As you can see, they have struggled a bit more It's more similar to that second tactic than to the first one, although the Champions League group, I think because of the draw, seemed to go a lot better for them. The Premier League struggling quite a bit. There's a few defeats thrown in here against the likes of Stoke, Liverpool, Palace, Spurs. I found using this tactic, it's the lower league teams that tend to beat us, not the bigger ones. You actually do quite well against the big teams. It can also be a bit streaky. So you see here, excellent, excellent form that kind of falls off at the bottom. This happens to me all the time, and it's really frustrating. But the tactic overall, I find, works very, very well. And as you can see at the bottom, they won the Champions League again. That was the only failing of the last tactic, was that they didn't win the Champions League. They won absolutely everything else. This one has also managed to win the league, so it's the only one to win the league and Champions League. Went out of the quarterfinals of the EFL Cup, out the semi-finals of the FA Cup, but it's the only one to get the Champions League and league double. So what I'm saying is all three of these tactics are pretty phenomenal. They all have their own benefits. If you like goals, the second tactic's the best. If you're a bit of a streaky player, the third one might be the best. Or if you just like wingers, the Skulls Can't Tackle one is the best. But there's very versatile tactics for very versatile people, and all of the credit has to go to the people that have created these tactics, Dark Excess and Full Reckonist. I take no claim to ownership over being a tactical master. I always need somebody else to kind of help me set things up. Even if I'm starting one from scratch, I need you guys to tell me what I need to change to balance the team out better. But if you are looking to just have a quick, easy tactic that you can put into your team, plug away and start kicking on, if the tactics aren't for you, you're more interested in the transfers, do have a look at these on the Steam Workshop. They're really high up. Just sort it by the most downloaded and you'll be able to find them. And let me know what you think of them as well. Let me know if there's other tactics you think I should do a video on to see if they work better than these ones. If there's other little Football Manager experiments you want to try, let me know in the comments. Drop a like on the video if you've enjoyed it. And of course, if you want to see more Football Manager videos, do subscribe. They come out more than daily at the moment, so I'm doing more than one a day. But until next time, see ya.